My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a local realtor with Keller Williams in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And the purpose of today's video is to give you the market update for what's going on in the MatSu Valley. This continues to be an evolving market. It's one of the biggest in South Central Alaska, and so for that reason, we really do keep a close eye on it. And we'll be talking about the residential, the condo, and the multifamily markets here in MatSu Valley. And at the end, we'll go ahead and give you a summary and give you an idea for what the outcome is for you as a seller or as a buyer. But before we get started, do make sure you give this video a like. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's go and jump into today's market update. Now, starting out on the residential side, we see that this time last year, there was about 262 properties that were available on the market. Now there's 219. So that's a decrease from what we saw in the year before, but that is nothing compared to the decrease that we saw from 2 or 3 years before that, because we were closer to about 600, 700 properties that were available. So that's just to give you an idea just how far we've fallen. Okay, so yes, inventory is low, and that's the first thing we need to be aware of on the residential side. The next thing that we see is that the number of properties that actually sold decreased very slightly from about 127 properties that closed this time last year to 122 this time. Now, the thing that I know everybody really wants to know is what's going on in the average sold price. So the average sold price went from about $347,000 the year before to about $363,000 year to date this year, which means that the average sold price has increased by roughly 4.4%. Now that's good. That's exactly what we want to see. That is going up. That's not so drastic though, where it's going to create some kind of a bubble where it's just going to pop and everyone's going to be in trouble. So 4.4 is great. The year before, we were seeing about a 15% increase for the average sold price. So we do see in the numbers at least that it's starting to draw back a little bit. Okay, now on the ground, it's still very hot, it's still very competitive. So, but according to the numbers at the 30,000 foot view, we do see that the number of average sold price increase is starting to draw down a bit, which is a good thing. You don't want to be in double digits for too long in a real estate market. It does bad things for everybody. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the condo market. Now, condo's not a huge contributor overall to the market here in the MatSu Valley, but it's going to become more prevalent moving forward, so we're going to include it. So this time last year, we had 4 condos available. Now there are 4 condos available, so no movement there. This time last year, 5 condos had sold. This year, 1 condo has sold. So bit of a decrease from where we were this time last year. Average sold price for condos in the MatSu Valley went from about $190,000 this time last year to $210,000 for this last year to date that we have up to this point, which means that there's over a 10% average sold price increase for condos. Now, condos obviously not a huge pool to be drawing from, so you're going to get kind of these crazy numbers going back and forth. I'm not surprised to see that, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw like next month if there's like a 10% decrease for average sold price as well, just because the pool is so small, and you can see those drastic increases or decreases that come in as a result of that. But yes, average sold price is up by about $20,000. Average sold price is up by about 10%. Let's take a break here real quick. For those of you who are considering moving up here to Alaska, do feel free to reach out to me at the link below to my website to get a copy of your free relocation guide for those of you who are considering moving up here. For those of you who are considering getting your property on the market, I got something for you too. It's a seller guide, and it walks you through the steps of what you can expect when we're getting your property ready to go onto the market. So feel free to reach out to me. Again, at the link below, just make sure you put relocation guide or seller guide in there so I know what to send you. So let's go ahead and finish up today's market update and look at what's going on in the multifamily market. Now, looking at the multifamily market, we see a drastic cut in the number of properties that are available from the year before, because it went from 22 to 11. Now, that's a drastic cut, but it pales in comparison to the cut that we had from comparing it to previous years, because in previous years, we see that there's about 60 or 70 multifamily properties that are available. Now there's far fewer investment properties that are available for purchase right now. Next, what we see is that the number of closed properties definitely took a decrease from this time last year. It went from 14 that closed this time last year to 7 this year. So that's significant, because what we're seeing is that the pool of available properties has started to get so small to where we can't just continue having a ridiculously high number of properties that have closed. Eventually, the pool gets so small that the number of closed properties closes down as well. And it doesn't just happen, incrementally down. No, it goes from really small pooled where it crosses that threshold, and then suddenly the number of closed properties shoots way down all of a sudden, like what you're seeing there. That's a 50% cut from what we saw the year before. Last but not least, the average sold price went from about $463,000 to about $414,000 in the year to date that we're looking at, which is about over a 10% decrease for the average sold price. Now, we're not talking about a huge pool of properties that are available for investments here in the MatSu Valley. So it could just be that the properties that were purchased last year were much newer, maybe they were larger. And so for that reason, it's a little hard to just use this as a hard and fast rule or say, hey, the multifamily market in the MatSu Valley is falling apart. So it's really hard to really kind of gauge that. But what we are seeing is that rents are going up, multifamily properties are in demand, and we are seeing that the low interest rates are very appealing to investors because a lot of them are looking for cash flow because a lot of people were buying for appreciation, back in 2008, 2009. And so a lot of people want to find properties that have good cash flow just to make sure that they don't get in over their heads. So I'm expecting to see the multifamily market continue to be pretty competitive in the MatSu Valley. Not a whole lot available out there just because a lot of investors want to hang on to what they have. Now, looking at the residential market, we are pretty much down to a fifth of where we are in previous years. So we've been talking about, the inventory's down. Well, yeah, that's how much we're down. Really, it's down to about 20% of where we usually would be, if it was 3-4 years ago. So for that, we're going to start seeing the average sold prices. Those are going to continue climbing. The rate at which they're climbing is going to start to get scaled back once we start seeing the higher interest rates, which is going to start removing some of the people that are looking at buying a property right now. So your takeaway, if you are a seller, if you can make it happen, then this is going to be one of the best times for you to decide to make a move. Realistically, we're going to start seeing some of those really sweet offers with a great term start going away. Once there's fewer buyers, we're going to start seeing, the dynamics in the market will start shifting more of a balanced market. You're going to see a lot more buyers brave enough to ask for sellers to pay some of their closing expenses, because that was very normal 3-4 years ago. And I don't think I've seen any of those in two years at this point. So yes, if you're looking at selling, then let's talk and make that happen. If you're looking at buying, don't lose hope. The interest rates are still great historically. Like, people would have just stampeded had this been about, back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s, people would have stampeded for these interest rates. So do take advantage of them if you possibly can. But also keep in mind that we've got to make sure we shop in a way to where you can buy and we don't overpay so much to where it's realistically not worth that, and so you can't move for another 3 or 4 years after buying it. So I sure hope this was useful for you. If it has, do make sure you give this video a like and leave me a comment down below with any thoughts you might have. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at my website, Facebook, or Instagram, and be happy to help as best I can.